Hey guys, it's me, Jen,
And I'm Liam, and welcome to Unlimited Time Magic.
where the magic is you.
Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on Main Street. Bye!
Hollywood, Hollywood. It's sinus
what cup is
decongestion
that?
pills. It's my Disney Hollywood Studios mug.
Oh my gosh. Since we knew what we were doing for the next 4 episodes, but we did not know for sure which park we were going to land on today, and you just happen to be drinking from a Starbucks Hollywood Studios mug. So there you go. Meant to be. Kismet.
Do you hear it?
No.
Okay.
Can't hear it.
So welcome everybody to Unlimited Time Magic, episode 26.
Hey, Liam,
What's that?
Liam, a whole bunch of Disney news dropped yesterday too. We should probably talk about.
Which
Do you even know?
I kind of know, and a lot of crap you said on the prediction, didn't you?
Dude, I might be a
You
witch.
knew. You
Because
I'll start that headline.
I am a little stunned at how accurate my predictions are, to the point where I'm pretty sure that my little Apple Home thing has a direct line to Bob Iger, and that
yeah.
he is. Why did I say Bob Iger? Like
Igar. In case you're in
Bob
Norway.
Iger. I'm making it pirate. So yeah. Anywho, yeah. And I swear, if Disney Vacation Club announces a percentage off financing offer in the next month or so, I am going to be convinced that someone is listening to my
You're an
conversation.
analyst.
Clearly.
And we also said when did we think Tron would open, right? Did we say that? It was less
spring. We
interesting.
said spring, but we knew, but we didn't. I don't think we.
I think I
we
either
should have
said-
wagered on actual dates.
Right. I think we definitely wagered something, like a specific date. But anyways, I kind of thought, I was like, Tron is going to be April or May. And lo and behold, April 4th, it came out. They did a cute little flirty clue situation.
Were there
24
any
hours.
announcements yesterday that you were not expecting? Because a couple of them really surprised me.
The annual pass situation I thought was interesting. Past 2:00 annual pass holders don't need park reservations to go anywhere except Magic Kingdom on the weekends, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew some change, but it's just interesting. I just didn't expect it. Also, the hotel one.
Yes, the hotel parking fees.
Yeah.
So, quick rundown for anybody who, did not see the news yesterday because you have a life.
Good for you.
And you were not glued to your Instagram or Twitter feed about Disney news. Liam, check me, make sure I get all of them. Tron opening April
4th.
Park hopping now does not, or not park. Well, okay, let's do park hopping first. Park hopping at Disneyland is now 11 a.m. instead of 1 p.m.
Which at that point,
Disneyland, yes, it's weird. Also, what it means is, I suppose, and that's interesting, we'd have to look that up, because one of the big beefs for annual pass holders that are local residents is that they make a park reservation for one park, they couldn't park to the other one. Do you know what I'm saying? So if they're allowing park hopping at 11 a.m., do you still have to check in stupidly, since they're right across the street from each other, and then just run right over? Interesting. Yep. Stupid and interesting. Arbitrary and interesting. Disneyland annual passes are going to be dropped sporadically from time to time now to purchase again.
Fun.
Okay, cool. Tron, let's see, I already did Tron opening date. No more parking for Disney World resort guests. No more parking fees for Disney World resort guests starting yesterday. That one was weird, because it was and effective. He was like the Pharaoh, right? Let it be written, let it be said.
Immediately. It was Oprah during dropping her favorite things. It was guess what? Yeah. And it's immediate. And everyone was like,
let my parking fees go.
Got the baritone key. Go.
Yeah, so that one was a little strange.
Yeah.
I mean, because they've been charging for parking now. Yeah.
But
But I mean, they've been charging for parking now for 5 years. 5 years they've been charging for parking. So
yeah, and it's funny because the bulk, also happy last day to me being a cast member, January 11th, last day, my main gate.
Oh,
Where's my ticket? Wait, I'll show you my annual pass. This is no longer valid. Which
just remember, friends are friends forever.
Literally follow us on Instagram because I'll probably ask y'all's opinion. Should I get an annual pass? I'm gonna wait a few months, I think, but it's a separate conversation for a separate time. I asked a bulk of my my manager friends who work mainly in resorts, because I've never worked in a resort. You know, only a few times as an attendant, but you know, I'm not a hospitality person. So I asked their opinion.
You're very inhospitable.
I'm very, oh, you don't want me in your home. But I've asked a bulk of my manager friends, and when that announcement came, and I was like, oh, how do you feel about it? Like, you have to pay for parking. They're like, that's normal. Like, that's traditional in the hotel field, paying for parking at a hotel you're staying at. So, and I think it was just specifically a Disney thing that you didn't have to pay.
That you didn't.
Correct. Which to me, it just shows the strategic planning that they're doing, knowing full well that they know that they have lost a few of the loyal members of the Disney market. So,
which is what I said, right? Like they needed to spread some. Well, but they needed to spread some goodwill to their core audience because we're vocal. We're out there. I just made that video. I don't know if you watched it, Liam.
Oh, I did. The things I don't buy at Disney anymore.
Like you need to stop peeing on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's the bottom line. We don't want to be ripped off. So
and
these
I do
were
love
all
peeing
felt
on
like
your leg.
Gross. You know who
Not
said
gross,
that?
we're friends.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. Not Judge
Friends
Judy.
don't do that. So yeah, should you get an annual pass? We definitely need to have a conversation about that because I have thoughts on that too. I have all kinds of thoughts.
And I mean, it's a funky time to be a pass holder, and I just really need to sit down with myself and decide, you know, how often I actually go, even with the free pass I had. So I've always been an annual pass holder or a cast member, so it'd be interesting to have that convo.
Maybe take a little breaky poo.
Maybe take a little breaky poo. It's true. And the reality is, as I travel more in the next year, I love coming home and having the ability to go to a park on my own free will. So we'll talk. But
that was the one thing I was going to say, that the after 2 p.m. Oh, we didn't even talk about that yet. So now you do not need a park reservation for Florida parks. You do not need a park reservation to go into a park after 2 p.m., right. Which is great. Personally, can I just talk completely selfishly? It is
always.
Well, it's one of my favorite types of days is to spend a resort morning and early afternoon and then like go into Epcot for dinner. Right. I have not been able to do that without making an Epcot reservation, which has been just kind of a pain because I just wasn't sure where I wanted to go in the evening. Maybe I felt more like going to studios or going to whatever. And if I didn't have a park reservation first, and then I was locked into going to that park. So now it actually gives me freedom when I'm on my trip. As long as I don't go until 2, I can go wherever I want, unless it's Magic Kingdom on a Saturday or Sunday.
That's Jen's happy place. A park after 2 o'clock.
And go to a nice dinner, get a cocktail.
Right. It made me just think about something because I said that's a bit odd just being 2 p.m. annual pass holders. Cool, we're giving the pass holders something great. I said, but why aren't we opening it up? It just feels weird, like this very strategic time. And then I'm like, well, think about it. Virtual queues open when?
1
o'clock.
Don't they open at 1?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
able to do that.
I'm not like really, I'm just like theorizing, talking out loud. If I don't know, Tron Light Cycle Run opens in April and they don't want to completely get rid of the reservation system because that will probably be a virtual queue. So I just think there's some correlation there that we won't see a complete getting rid of Tron until the reservation system until Tron is fully.
But what else does it do? It gives locals the opportunity to go to Epcot to drink and spend a ton of money, which they have not been doing.
Correct.
So so it's a pretty day and you're at home and you're like, you know what I feel like doing? Let's go get a Grey Goose slushie and do some eating at the festival at Epcot. That has not been something a person could do.
Absolutely. You can go drink and I will dress up as the Grey Goose.
But I'm saying but that will earn them a lot of money. Like the things that people tend to do after 2 p.m. in a theme park are eating and drinking. You're not generally going after 2 if your objective is to wait in lines. So it's a completely, it makes sense because it's the annual pass holder piece of money that they want, which is the wining and dining annual pass holder.
But the first
money,
5 hours
right?
of operation,
That's
annual pass holders won't be there. You know, who are traveling
about riding rides. So you're allowing for a good experience. And honestly, they won't even really be buying Genie Plus after 2 o'clock, most likely, because there's just not going to be a lot available. So what are they going to do? They're going to eat and drink and maybe shop. So it's kind of like, it's dumb that they hadn't done that.
I just want everybody to know that post this show, we will be joining the analyst team over at Walt Disney World.
Well, we don't have to, because evidently my microphone goes straight into Bob Iger's office.
And I randomly got a check for $20. That's it. Y'all...
No, they said if I did a survey, do a survey, tell us what to do with our business, and we'll send you a $20 gift card.
Do the survey. When they stop you, you do the survey. Don't say, oh, I don't have time. The reality is you do. So just do it. And let poor people, Susan from Lake Nona, Florida, help her numbers. Okay. Welcome to the last 4 episodes of Unlimited Time Magic. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. So it's a very big announcement, and you and I did not come to this decision lightly to end the podcast. Now keep in mind, we do still have 4 episodes left. They're going to be super fun. Listen to them.
Super dramatic.
Share them.
I will bring up all of our skeletons.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I was like, there's somewhere. There might be in the basement. There might be in the closet.
We're going to be observing Festivus these last 4 episodes. It will be nothing but airing of grievances. So everyone bring out.
I love drama.
We can't keep doing this. We just can't.
Well, okay. Let's sit down with the thought. If you don't know, we announced, which I'll announce it on our. Here she comes. Here she loves the drama.
Here she comes. Cassiopeia's world. We're just living in it.
She's been a pain in my ass in the last 24 hours. But yes, so every single season, so basically every 10 episodes, Jen and I always sit down with like, great, do we do the next season of the show? Like genuinely, we always have that conversation. And we proposed to season 4. We proposed what it might look like. Well, I did, and I kind of created a package. And then it's our jobs, both of us separately and then together, to think, great, can we make that happen? And the reality is that I have too many projects that it limits my time. And then on top of it, Jen is also, Jen always has, when you're a business owner, anybody out there who's a business owner, time is money, y'all. And the reality is we have a great time together. We love doing this show. And it was only supposed to be 9 episodes. It was not supposed to be 30. So yeah, it's genuinely was supposed to be 8 or 9. And we knew we had something fun and we wanted to keep doing it. So we did. But what a blessing the show has been. Truly, truly, truly. And it's not necessarily a full on like, you'll never see us again and we're going in the closets.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of the feed. Like we may do occasional, it's still going to exist.
I'm going to call them specials, if you will. Like if like Jen and I are like, we have a lot to say. We haven't sat down and had a chat like this in 8 months. Let's do something.
And we do have a monetized YouTube channel, by the way, too. We did that.
We did do that. So who knows? Maybe a vlog would come. Maybe this would come when we're together. Something to chronicle our friendship. That'd be nice. Yes. So it's definitely not a goodbye, but the weekly show definitely bye. But
Liam's like, bye. Can we record all 4 episodes today?
Quick question. Do you have another shirt? But no, the show has been such a blessing, and what an unexpected journey that we went down. But the reality is that time is money, y'all. And I'll be traveling a lot in the next 6 to 8 months. And Jen is definitely traveling in the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So to add more stress, where we want to provide you the best show possible. And the minute that we feel like we are minimalizing the show in order to make it fit is probably a good idea to refocus. And so that's what we did. So we are going to cherish this next month together.
Cherish is the word I use to describe. Okay, sorry.
Beautiful. And
you don't know how many times I wish. Okay, sorry, I'm done.
Also, at one point Jen sang a song that I was like, Jen's what I equate to a homeless lady who's been talking to herself for a long time.
Yes.
I said, what song did you just create out of your butthole? And I checked my Instagram feed a day later, and it was a song from Arthur.
Yeah.
And I said, why is your vocal vernacular
having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card?
I didn't know. I wasn't an Arthur kid. And so I just
because you all had cable. When you can afford cable, you don't have to be an Arthur kid. My kids were all Arthur kids. That's all we had.
Well, I DM'd her that song and I said, sorry, you're poor. So yes, we're spending the next 4 weeks kind of reminiscing and thinking about all 4 Disney World theme parks, maybe even a trickle at Disneyland, because why the heck not? It's our show. We can do what we want.
It's true.
And today we are thinking about Hollywood.
Oh,
or MGM.
I think you know that I went to Hollywood Studios. What year did it open?
89.
89. I went in 90. So I didn't go the year that it opened, but I went in 90 or 91, maybe 90 or 91.
I think 89 is right.
Yeah, well, it was Scott's whenever it was a year. It was still very close to when they had just opened. It was Scott's very first trip to Walt Disney World. Hollywood Studios was our favorite. And this was back when they had the Golden Girls, the backlot tour and everything was there.
A lot more open air.
When it was still, what's that?
It felt a lot more open. There was a lot more open space.
And it was a working studio. They were filming, can't remember what show they were filming there when we were there, but it was also a working animation studio and a working sound stage. So they were always in production for something. And it was and this I miss so much, when you could go watch the animators actually working on stuff.
Yeah.
And when they first opened, it's when the animators were working on Mulan, I believe. And that's what they were showing you. They were literally working on it. And when they came out, Eddie Murphy did the movie part of it, and the movie hadn't even come out yet. And I don't know, it was just, it felt so legitimate.
It felt like you were walking in on an event. And I think that's what I miss about studios, is because now you're walking into the idea of studios is still relatively the same of you were walking into the movie versus before you were walking into the creation of the movie. So you were walking in on something that was actively being worked on versus a product that you were a part of, if that makes sense.
And you were a visitor. So Universal in California, this is funny. I went to Universal Studios in California before it was really a theme park, back when it was literally, and you can still do that at Universal Studios in California. You still have an actual backlot tour that is a working set, right?
Right.
Then they created Universal Studios in Florida, which was built as a theme park. It never was a working studio.
Correct.
And I always preferred the California version because it was a working studio that you went and visited. And I loved that, like, feeling like you were getting to see something special and behind the scenes and all of that. And I had a visitor's pass. I wasn't the purpose of the thing existing. Do you know what I mean? And that was really the feel of Hollywood
Studios. It wasn't about you.
Yeah, it was about this thing is going on and you get to watch it.
Right.
So it was very different back then. There definitely was not enough to keep people busy a whole day. There just wasn't. Although a lot of things took way longer, like Lights Motor Action, which didn't open with the park, but when that did open, that took a minute to go to that show, to see that show, to inhale the gasoline fumes from that show.
To go to the hospital and then come back revived with new lungs. Yes.
Yeah. The pyrotechnics in that show were something else.
But it was.
Yeah. That show was nuts.
It's like the only thing we took from France too. It's the only thing we took from Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, that's right. But the reason that it would take almost a whole day is because the shows took so long. So Indiana Jones is going to take you an hour. Lights Motor Action is going to take you an hour. The backstage tour is going to take you at least an hour because it was always a really long line for it. So more like an hour and a half. I'm trying to think when they opened.
I mean, Hunchback was a thing.
There was, yes,
Hunchback
that's right. Because Hunchback was in the theater that's now Beauty and the Beast, wasn't it?
No, so there was a theater. What I would only describe as right behind, because I had an obsession with it. I said, where was that stage? Like, where was it? And it was behind Star Tours, like in that area, outdoors. Okay. And then they smushed it indoors a few years later. And that's where Frozen's sing-along debuted. And then that theater was demolished for Galaxy Edge stuff. And then that's when Frozen moved over to Hyperion. Okay,
so you also, of course, had the animation, the walkthrough with the animators and the movie. And then that was also, you did the Drawing Academy was at the end of that. So that whole pavilion, which is where the Star Wars launch bay is now. That took a long time. Again, that would take you about an hour.
I also theorized that's the next to go, which is really sad.
Just to be demolished completely, you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason it's not is because that's where a lot of administration is for the park.
Oh yeah.
And it is the only standing building. That block, Animation Courtyard, is the only OG buildings we have left.
So and Little Mermaid.
Yeah, Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid opened with the park.
Bear in the Big Blue House, but I don't think it was Bear in the Big Blue House at the time. I think it was something else.
I can't remember what it was now. That's so funny. But they had everything that was there took a long time. So even though I say that it wasn't enough to keep you busy for a whole day, but it really was because everything just took a long time. The building that was American Idol was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I think it was built as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, wasn't it? Wasn't that the original?
So if we're thinking in contemporary terms of where things are, the old Toy Story Mania entrance, that to the left-hand side of that used to be the underground theater for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The Hyperion is what you're thinking about. The Hyperion, I mean, it was home to Doug at one point.
We did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but then the American Idol theater was the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theater, I thought, or no, the one where Frozen sing-along is now.
Yeah, so that was so American Idol was there. The American Idol experience, Doug was there. I'm trying to think of what else was there.
Oh, Doug was there. That's right.
And then Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? The only thing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was used for was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because it was so small. And then the minute that Toy Story wanted another track, we call it Track C, they demolished that theater and created it to be another track for.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
I know a lot of weird things about studios for some reason.
You know,
the weird part.
American Idol, I think we all know that I did it twice and made it to the finals both times.
Talking about it, everybody.
We've talked about that. Yeah. Casting directors there knew me. That was a whole thing.
It was a whole
And they would say, "Oh, Jen, what are your plans for today? We could really use you. We've had really bad auditions all morning."
And you said, "Well, mostly baton," and then you would be in the trophy. That's a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reference. But also, so what Jen is 100% right. The whole entire park was built as a half-day park, but it was the epitome of where all of the IP address, like all IPs, went to live. So it's like, they had a weird deal with Fox at one point when Disney didn't have Fox. So it's like, it had I remember Goosebumps had a show there. I remember Ace Ventura was a walk around character and also had a
Didn't
show.
that So Raven film there for a little while, or did I dream that? Maybe
Sure.
they just filmed
But they
some
did.
episodes.
I mean,
You would walk in and there would be a sign that would say something like live set filming today. And then there would be a picture of whatever show was being shot in the soundstage there.
right.
And you even had the opportunity to go and get tickets to be in the studio audience. You had to go to a particular booth first thing in the morning, and then you could be in the studio audience. I mean, it was the real thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it was cool. And I'm trying to think of what else it was. I mean, some of like I said, I would not want to be the Bob Iger overseeing the transition from
Bob Iger.
Bob Iger.
I'm Googling what shows actually filmed at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. But I mean, Universal Orlando and Hollywood Studios had the same problem, that they were filming more and more towards the earlier part of their lives, and then they just realized from an operational standpoint that it was just really hard to film a show in the middle of Florida, where right next to a theme park where people are just screaming their faces off. So
okay, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
You tell me the show.
Okay,
yes.
So we're going to start with films that were filmed partially at the studio. This is great. This is a crazy list on the film part. Ernest Saves Christmas, Splash 2, which was filmed in 1988. So that would have been one of the first things to have been filmed in those studios. The Lottery, Quick Change, a movie called Oscar, Passenger 57, Marvin's Room, Tarzan the Epic Adventures, Tower of Terror movie. We knew that. Remember how we know which scenes were filmed actually at the attraction. Instinct, and then Kermit's Swamp Years was filmed there on the lot in 2002. Okay, television series.
Pretty recent.
Oh, now I remember. This is the one where you could get tickets to the studio audience. Okay, so Golden Girls exteriors were filmed there. Teen Win, Loser, Draw. That was the one that I feel like was always filming there. The all-new Mickey Mouse Club, Separate but Equal, Adventures in Wonderland, Thunder in Paradise, Big Bag, no idea. From the Earth to the Moon, Mortal Kombat Conquest, the Dooley and Pals show, and then animation that was drawn literally on set or on site. Roller Coaster Rabbit, Trail Mix-Up, Mulan, we talked about that. Mickey Mouse Works, How to Haunt a House, John Henry, Lilo and Stitch, and Brother Bear. So that is quite a legacy. I didn't realize about the films.
And more, I remember because there's a really great MGM documentary, and they film a lot of behind the scenes for The Lottery because that's a Bette Midler film. I mean, what a wild list. And it's like, if you really think about it, all of that was filmed in like 4 years. So I mean, it was popping for a second.
Yeah. It was busy.
Was busy. But like I said, they kind of reached the precipice of like, cool. So like bringing everybody to Florida for filming is one thing. And then a second thing of like, it is now a theme park. Like, it is getting popular. So it's either we have to dedicate this fully to filming or fully to theme parkness. And so we know what we know what they picked.
And the rest is history.
But yeah, no, I also remember Power Rangers when they were meet and greet. I'm trying to think of
yes, weird. Now that feels so random. Now we used to go to the Star Wars weekends. It just kind of happened that a lot of times we would go early June, and that's when Star Wars weekends typically would happen, is the very first part of June. And I think I've shown you, I have a poster from when it was MGM Star Wars weekend poster framed down in our movie room. It was off. The fandom was so intense. It was so much fun. There were no stormtroopers walking around unless you were there for Star Wars weekends. So, and it started as just literally a Star Wars weekend, one weekend, and then they extended it into where it was several weekends. And yeah, it was so
But it used to be
fun.
almost like an event, like, I'm pretty sure, was it the fall? It was like fall. It was like Halloween, yeah?
No, I don't think so, because we wouldn't have gone in Halloween, and multiple
Late
years in
summer?
a row we ended up being there. No, I think it was early summer.
Oh,
I
I
want
have
to say
no
it was end
idea.
of May. I think it was end
Okay.
of May, early June,
I was gonna
because
say, I was
we
like,
were
I don't have
frequently
any
there
memories.
during gay days as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that was like, it was like Star Wars weekend and gay days were generally around the same time period.
Yeah.
So, and that's
It
probably
was
why my son is gay, because
You're welcome, everybody. Um,
everyone said, don't go then, because
don't
that's what
bring
will
your
happen.
children to gay days. They'll
That's
turn
how
gay.
they get you.
And that's how Disney, the corporation, gets you. No, I remember. I mean, I wasn't even a Star Wars fan, and it was still a really cool event of seeing a lot of people come together and like. I mean, that was really between that and that started the birth of George Lucas films in relation to. I mean, it was a much, much bigger journey long before I was
Well,
born.
I was
But
gonna say, and then when Star Tours opened, that was
right.
just, oh my God, everyone lost their minds. It was so much fun. I still remember like the opening weekend of Star Tours, and just wonderful. Just a
I
lot
mean,
of fun.
and again, I talk about this on the show all the time when it comes to studios, that it is a beacon for a lot of my memories of coming to the
Right.
parks, because it was the newer-ish park, by the time I was a little bit older, than Dak came along. But I think that's why I have such an attachment to studios and Dak, because those were my parks.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of anything else that I mean, Club Villain was really cool. That was much later on, but they of course created what we call when I worked on Sunset, they called it the Sunset Showcase, is what they called that building. It's the warehouse behind Rock and Roller Coaster, and it was essentially a multi-purpose studio. It opened as Club Disney, which was a dance party for kids to go dance with Mickey and Minnie, which was
I
really
remember
cute.
that. I remember that.
And I remember
Yeah.
when I worked at Tower, I said, let me work at Club Disney. I loved it. You just dance around for 8 hours. You don't do anything. And then when that went away, it turned into Club Villain, which was a private event. I think it was like $90 a ticket. It was
Yes.
I would associate it with almost like a hoop-de-doo. It was not as a full-on show, but
No, but it had unlimited alcohol. I do
it had
remember
unlimited
that.
alcohol. It had unlimited alcohol. It did have a menu. It had did it have a menu, or did it just have desserts?
I think it was like the dessert party. It might have been like hors d'oeuvres and desserts.
Right. And
I'm
then you got to meet 5 characters. You got to meet Queen of Hearts, who was Face, which is really cool. Haven't seen Queen of Hearts as a Face character since then. Maleficent, the Queen was there. Dr. Facilier.
Yeah.
I'm missing one.
I don't know.
Was it 4?
Did you say Maleficent? I think Maleficent.
Yeah, Maleficent, the Queen, Dr. Facilier, Queen of Hearts.
Hook. I think Hook was there.
So that's 5. That's all 5 of them.
And then of course we cannot have an episode where we talk about the history of Hollywood studios and not talk about the Osborne Lights, because
oh brother.
And I've told you the story before about taking my mom to Osborne Lights for the first time. Have I told you this?
Nope.
She did not even know what it was. She had never been to Disney World. It was her. Well, no, she'd been one other time, but she'd never been to Hollywood Studios. And we, because she'd gone with me when I was a kid, she'd gone with my dad for work, but it was always not, Hollywood Studios was not open the time she had gone. So we took her to Sci-Fi for dinner, and I had timed the reservation just perfectly so that when we came out of Sci-Fi, the lights would be lit. And the way where Osborne Lights happened, as soon as you rounded the corner, when you exited Sci-Fi, you could see the whole thing. And her face, because it was dark, we went into Sci-Fi, the lights it was daylight when we went in to eat, had our hamburgers, watched the guy get stabbed with the big hypodermic needle and the whole thing. And then we turned the corner after dinner, and a whole street is lit up, and she lost her mind. Like, she just stood there and was like, what am I even looking at right now? It was so fun. And it was, if you never did it, it was like a dance party too, because everyone just hung out in the street, right? And they would play the music and everybody would sing, and oh man, it was so fun.
What a COVID nightmare.
That's true. That's true.
But
But you think back on it now, it felt a little bit, which I would never do New York on New Year's Eve, because where do all those people go to the bathroom? I have absolutely no idea. But the part of that looks fun, right? The community piece of everybody enjoying something together. That I was into that. And it wasn't crammed. It wasn't like waiting to watch the fireworks at Magic Kingdom in the hub. It wasn't like that. Like there was plenty of room. You could come and go as you pleased, plenty of room to walk around. They would have stands selling hot chocolate and treats, and oh, it was just fun. Those were good times.
I mean, it was, to me, it was the holiday offering at studios. Like that's what that was. And again, another huge core memory for me was Osborne Lights. And I still have, because that was my first year working for the company, was the last year of Osborne Lights. So I have the shirt that says, like, what does it say? It says like lights out or something. Like it's the last year of Osborne Lights, 2015. So I have that shirt and it's a small, so I'm never going to fit in it again. But it sure is a great memory.
Well, and they never had it. There was never a line. You know what I mean? Like you just went in and went out. And
if you just wanted to literally like cross the street between Muppets and I guess where because it wouldn't have been Toy Story, it would have been Pixar. From there to Pixar, just to like your head around the corner, you could totally see it.
When Lights Motor Action was still open, right? So it went to the end, and then that was like when we think back, it's hard to even conceptualize. Remember how the entrance to Lights Motor Action was like down that little pathway that you had to go down? Do you remember that?
So if you went down the left-hand side, so if we're like coming from Star Tours, you could take a left. All the way down would be Streets of America, Osborne Lights. At the end would be Lights Motors Action. You would take a right. That would be the backlot tour going around. You would then kind of circle back in.
Oh, then no, and then you're missing Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and
which is another memory.
The playground, right? Because the playground was right there. Because you would be
passing to get to Pixar. You would be passing the Backlot Express, which was the food bev location. Next to that was the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or Audience. Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, the play area, the outdoor play area.
And then to the left would then be the tour, and then you would be walking up. You'd see the Coke stand, the big Coke bottle.
Yes.
And then you would keep walking, and then to your left would be the old theater for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Toy Story Mania.
All that space now is Pixar and Galaxy's Edge, like all of that. So that's why, I mean, it was quite a trek. Oh, and remember, that's where the Cars meet and greet would always happen, was at that corner where before you would turn to go to Lights Motor Action, they had Lightning McQueen and all of that.
And then if you were looking at if you were looking at Lights Motors Action, again, one of the only attractions we've ever taken from Paris. I just think that's fascinating. I think that's what we decided to pick from Paris. To the left of that's where it was kind of almost like a dead end, but that's where the umbrella was for the Singing in the Rain photo op.
Yes.
And then if you kept going, and then if you kept going down to the left, that's where Mama Melrose was. That's where the Frozen Theater used to be. That's where the big theater used to be. Crazy. That was a memory. I was like, let's see if I remember it. But I remember there being a whole thing of like, this is the last. I remember that. Wow, I haven't thought about that day in a long time. But there was a day that was like, this is the last day Streets of America will be open. So, and it was, mind you though, by the time we got there, it was like, because Lights Motors Action had closed. So there was nothing down there, like for 5-6 years.
It was a little depressing. It was fun for photo ops.
Correct, because no one was there, but also Osborne Lights stopped. Right. So it was like, okay, something's happening. Something must be happening because Lights Motors Action was leaving, and
they were like, we're going to show you what New York is going to be like in 2020.
So put your mask on. It is a ghost town. No, but I mean, what a playground for like just imagination and like what Jen was saying at the beginning of the episode, a place where like you watched something happen and day to day that thing is different. And I think what a cool thing to like have your kids go do. Yeah. And of course, Studios is very different now. It's a lot more theme parky, but still there is a sense of, like me walking down Sunset Boulevard, I still feel the same way I did back then, which is kind of cool. It's a fun thing to go back to. And I mean, just last week, to celebrate like my last day in the park as a cast member for now, I went and I saw Fantasmic. I was like, there's no other way I'd want to do that. I was like, I could go to Magic, but I was like, So my friends, join us for the next 4 weeks, where we'll be exploring kind of each park. We have Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom to do. And then that's it for now, pals.
Oh, it's all right. Y'all, we're both still highly
Wow.
accessible.
We're not going anywhere, really. That's why I was like, all the patrons messaged me and they were like, well,
I'll
we'll be
see you
around.
in one of the other 9 platforms in which I follow you.
Correct. Or just message me if you need me. It's really, but y'all follow us on Instagram and at Unlimited Time Magic, and we'll see you again real soon next
Bye.
week.
Love you.
Bye. Hollywood, ready when you are, CB.
Another episode of Unlimited Time Magic is through. Please follow us on Instagram at Unlimited Time Magic. Support us on Patreon if you'd like to do that. Plenty of benefits. It's really, really great. And we're not on Main Street, but we will see you on Main Street. Look, it's out there. Nailed it.